What if I told you the first black superhero appeared in 1945, 21 years before Black Panther, and his weapon wasn't a shield or a cape, but a pen? Meet Jay Jackson, the cartoonist who turned Jim Crow into literal monsters and made segregation look like the horror it was. J. Paul Jackson, born September 10, 1905 in Oberlin, Ohio, dropped out of school at 13, drove railroad spikes, worked in a Pittsburgh steel mill, failed as a boxer, then picked up a pen and became one of the most dangerous weapons in the fight for civil rights. By 1933, Jackson was hired by the Chicago Defender, the most influential black newspaper in America. According to comics historians, by 1936 he became head cartoonist, and his editorial cartoons were described as scathing indictments of prejudice, with anger palpable in every pen stroke. But here's what made Jackson revolutionary. He realized something most activists hadn't. According to historical analysis, Jackson understood that science fiction gave him a unique ability to comment on contemporary America by safely displacing the action to another world or time. He could say things about racism that would get black newspapers shut down if he wrapped them in fantasy. In 1942, Jackson revived the Chicago Defender's signature strip, Bungleton Green. Historians call it the oldest, longest, continuously running black comic strip. But Jackson transformed it. He took Bung, a 4-foot-tall everyman character, killed him in a Nazi prison, and literally rebuilt him as something more. On November 28, 1942, documented in Defender archives, Jackson launched a 12-panel science fiction epic. He sent Bung back to 1778 America to expose slavery's brutality. Then he projected him forward to 2043, a dystopian future where green-skinned people oppressed white chalkies, exactly the way black Americans were being oppressed in 1943. The commentary was devastating. According to comics research, Jackson showed white readers experiencing segregation, Jim Crow laws, and systemic violence through characters who looked like them. It was empathy through horror. Then on January 6, 1945, historians mark this date precisely, Jackson introduced what's considered the first black superhero in comics. Bungleton Green, transformed by futuristic scientists, emerged with muscles of spring steel and a heart of metal. He was literally indestructible. 21 years before Marvel's Black Panther, decades before anyone mainstream even imagined it. But Jackson didn't just create fantasy villains. According to strip analysis, he created S. Lippery Eel, a white-collar criminal who bombed and burned black families trying to move into white Chicago neighborhoods. This wasn't fiction. This was documentary disguised as comics. The Defender's editorial pages were fighting the exact same housing discrimination Jackson illustrated. Jackson's other strip, Speed Jackson, created under the pen name Pol Curie, featured a Howard University track star turned secret agent who literally beat up fascists during World War II. While mainstream comics portrayed white heroes saving the world, Jackson showed black heroes saving themselves. He didn't just draw cartoons. According to historical records, Jackson illustrated for science fiction magazines like Amazing Stories in the late 1930s, becoming likely the first black artist in American pulp science fiction. He created war bond posters for the U.S. Treasury Department. He designed the groundbreaking Pepsi-Cola ads that ran in Ebony magazine in 1948, some of the first mainstream advertising to feature black people as sophisticated consumers, not stereotypes. And through it all, Jackson used horror and sci-fi imagery to make segregation look monstrous. Because it was. He drew lynching as literal horror. He portrayed Jim Crow as demons. He made racism look like the nightmare it always was, but did it in ways that couldn't be dismissed or censored. On May 16, 1954, Jay Jackson died of a heart attack at age 48. According to the Chicago Defender archives, his wife Eleanor got them to publish 2 final unpublished strips. He died weeks before Brown versus Board of Education desegregated schools, the victory his pen had been fighting for. Jackson received 2 American Newspaper Guild front page awards. His work influenced generations of Black cartoonists. Yet today, outside comics history circles, his name is barely known. Black Panther gets the recognition. Luke Cage gets the movies. But Bungleton Green, the actual first Black superhero, remains buried in newspaper archives. Jay Jackson proves something crucial that's documented in every strip he drew. That imagination could be as powerful as protest, that fantasy could reveal truth, and that a cartoonist with a pen could turn segregation into the monster it always was. If this is the first time you've heard Jay Jackson's name, ask yourself why the first Black superhero has been erased from history. Comment below if you think he deserves recognition. Share this with someone who loves comics and Black history, and follow for more stories about the pioneers who changed everything and then got forgotten.